Okay, well, welcome to the preview of Proscom DTP courses. Let's start with the PDF translation preview so you know what it is about. Well, first in our course, we'll see what's PDF and what's the purpose of the format and what are its main functions and where we can produce it, and what's the process for producing a PDF file. Okay, we'll see what kind of contents it may have, and what was the original use and what's the contemporary use of PDF, which are quite different, and we'll see the difficulties that arise from that fact. Next, we'll see a very important thing for us translators, which is word count in PDF files. How can we know what to charge if we can't count words? So we have many different ways to count words in PDF. You'll see some specific tools, free tools that you can use, and we'll go over a practical example and try these 2 or 3 ways of counting words so you see it practically and you can repeat it afterwards after you've done the course. Then we need to know what resources we need to handle the PDF files, mainly what software do we need and what that software does. Okay, we will use different tools for different kind of PDFs and different kind of assignments. Okay, so basically we will have 2 big categories of software, which is one for viewing and printing PDF, which is an Acrobat Reader and its similar friends, and the other software which allows us to actually modify and edit PDFs, which are at least 3 categories of software, and there are new categories being created, and we'll see every one of them, how they work and what they are good for. One very important thing for us translators is how to handle the transition between PDF and doc format, or RTF, which is the other very popular format for Microsoft Word. So we will have 2 cases. As you know, there are editable and non-editable PDF files. We need to process them in radically different ways. We'll go over the details of each process and which tools we will use for each of them. Of course, with practical examples and tips I will be giving all the time of what things we should avoid and what processes are best for different kinds of files. Okay, so this will be a very, very important stop in our journey of PDF translation. Then finally, I will show you specifically how a PDF editor is used to correct mistakes and make small changes in certain files, and how it can be used to actually produce the whole translation in the case of a particular kind of files with a particular layout, which will allow us to directly edit the file without converting in any way. These are the tools. The tools you see in red are the name of the tools in Acrobat Professional, but in other kinds of software we have similar tools. We will see it by using one of the examples we used before and trying to edit and see how it works and the limits of that, and in what kind of files it will work, and with other kinds it will not work at all. So we will end up with a whole array of tools and techniques to approach the translation of just any kind of PDF file. Okay, this is the DTP for Translators preview, and we'll have an overview of the contents of this course, the full course. though you may opt to take the introductory course or the full course. We'll go over the whole contents so you get an idea of what the course deals with. First, the definition of DTP and where it stands in the whole process of a publication for publishing or online or for printing. Okay, we'll know the origins of this task, which first was not assigned to translators, now it's assigned to translators, and we'll see why. The logics of the industry around this task, and understand what's our role within this whole process. Then we'll try to define the scope of our work within DTP. We can't do just any DTP task that may be assigned to us or proposed to us. So first we should know, and which I think is quite important, what things the client thinks falls within this category, okay? So we can make the right questions and know exactly what it is about and if it's actually DTP what we are talking about, okay? So we will arrange the categories from the easiest format to the most specialized format, which most of you won't ever be dealing with. Then the limits of our work, we will go in deep with 4 factors which clearly can give us a clear idea of whether we can deal with a certain assignment or not. Okay, and we'll see it on screen with specific examples that will show us how difficult the process of DTP on a file can be. I go over and over again explaining the idea that translation and DTP should be considered 2 different tasks, no matter how you present that to the client, and you should be as aware of the difficulties of DTP work as the difficulties of translation, so you avoid working for free or not reaching deadlines or losing your reputation. Another very, very important thing for us is budgeting. Okay, how we can give an estimate to our client in this special case of files. Okay, I will propose 2 different ways of budgeting depending on the complexity of the file and the number of different tasks that are involved before we can deliver a final file. So we will analyze all these factors that tell us how difficult, how complex it is, and depending on that, we will take one or another approach to present the whole thing to the client the right way, and that right way is the way to get the job. Okay. Of course, as always, we have practical examples of one kind and the other, and we will analyze that. And I will be making some questions in the interactive modes of the course. Then we have the requirements for DTP software. DTP software is quite demanding in terms of software tools and mainly hardware tools. We will describe the characteristics of each of these categories, what kind of processor we need, how much RAM memory we need, what kind of screen we need. We'll need scanners and printers, and then the categories of software that we will be using, just in case you are considering some kind of investment in this to start working as a specialist in translation plus DTP. Maybe you knew, maybe you didn't know, but you can work on DTP without exiting Trados, which is a quite familiar environment for most of us. Well, we will see what TagEditor is about and why it is relevant for this task, and what are the advantages of using TagEditor. okay, and the tool, and basically Trados tools, which are becoming really good for processing some kinds and some formats of DTP files. When we move on to more specialized software, we will need first, let's say, a theory basis of what bitmap images and vectorial images are, which will be very useful when we actually see the software itself that we can use. Okay, we'll go over concepts like pixel, color value, organization, resolution, and what programs and software we can use for editing those images. The same for vectorial images. Okay, they are different from the other ones. And in the case of DTP, we'll have a mixture of both. So we need to identify both. We'll see how we can transform one image into the other kind, which may be useful in some situations. And I will be giving tips on that. And then we'll get exactly directly to the specialized software. We'll see. I have developed this classification, which is of my own and has no great theories behind it, just a practical way. We'll go over what I call a single page software. We'll take an example, which may be CorelDRAW or Adobe Illustrator or many other software which you have, and we will see how it works, how the software thinks, and what we can do with it, what kind of files we can process with those single page software programs. And then we will go to editorial design software, which is the most specialized software, the most demanding in terms of hardware, and there we'll see what the applications are, how we can handle these non-text things like shapes and visual effects, and all the ways we have to enter text and how to handle it with a main idea or a motto along the whole course, which is to learn the ways just to edit the text and avoid touching anything else that is not the text. Because remember, we will be, as translators, dealing with the linguistic parts, and we don't want to mess things up in the graphics area. Okay, so this will be a very important thing when we deal with specialized software, which is not familiar for us.